Maldives top court has ordered the release of 9 key political prisoners, including the country's former president, Mohammed Nasheed. Now, this is a surprise move by the Maldives Supreme Court. In its ruling, the Supreme Court has said that the arrest and detention of the 9 political prisoners was unconstitutional. The Maldives joint opposition has welcomed the ruling. Now, the government's spokesperson has also said that the Supreme Court took this decision without hearing out the government. Now, this move essentially means that the terrorism charges that had been leveled against the Maldivian former president Mohammed Nasheed have now been dropped and he can now run for presidency again. Now, Mohammed Nasheed was elected as Maldives president in 2008 and then was sentenced to 13 years in prison in 2015. Now, Nasheed had secured political asylum in London and also travels to Sri Lanka quite frequently. International organizations such as the Amnesty International and the United Nations have said that the case against Nasheed was politically motivated and democracy is under threat in Maldives. All right, now to try and get a better sense of what's actually playing out in Maldives, we're joined in by our senior foreign affairs editor, Padma Rao. Good morning, Padma. What's the latest on this story? What's playing out in the Maldivian capital?
Well, this has come as a very surprising decision even to the Maldivian Democratic Party, which sits in the opposition. The Supreme Court has all of a sudden recognized that the Maldivian Democratic Party is the largest and also that it was democratically elected, and its president, the former president of the Maldives, who is in exile, self-imposed exile in Sri Lanka, who is represented in London by the advocate Amal Clooney, in fact, in the name of human rights, because he was practically, kicked out of the country and he was being portrayed as a traitor. And he did leave on medical grounds, and he has been trying to restore democracy. It was the first democratic election in the Maldives. So essentially what the Supreme Court is doing is to try and restore the status quo of the last, or actually the first ever democratic election in the Maldives, and restore President Yamin. But I beg your pardon, President Nasheed. But right now it's all wait and watch. President Yamin's office has issued a statement saying that the Attorney General was not present when the Supreme Court made this, pronounced this judgment. So there seems to be, some grumbles coming from the President's office, which was expected. His defense minister went on record at a press conference and, said that the Attorney General will have to vet the judgment. Now, this is not surprising because as you know, Saleh, President Yamin has, had sort of ruled the Maldives. Practically, he's ruled the judiciary of the country as well. He's changed judges as he pleased. So it will be an interesting time ahead to see whether President Yamin actually implements this order or decides to challenge it.
Right, but does he have a choice in terms of not implementing the order, considering that it's coming from the Supreme Court of Maldives?
Well, I mean, nobody in a democracy should have the choice of overturning a Supreme Court judgment. But then this is President Yamin. He has done that before. He has tampered with the constitution and the judiciary. He has empowered the office of president. And there are huge corruption allegations against him. He's accused of selling land, islands in the Maldives, entire atolls to Saudi Arabia, to China. So, dictators don't know the rules of democracy.
Right.
And, and President Yamin is in a bit of a soup right now. But we'll see how it plays out, and we'll see whether he retains stentorian control over the Maldives or whether he decides to challenge the Supreme Court.
Absolutely indeed. So some pretty interesting days there ahead in Maldives. Thank you very much indeed, Padma Rao, for joining us and getting us up to speed with what's happening in Maldives.